To say that Doctor Who has been a source of disappointment for fans would be, of course, an understatement. We've been talking about this for a while, and this season I've paid particularly close attention because the person that came back to run the show, Russell T Davies, was supposed to be the hero that we all needed, and he turned out to be the villain that we really didn't want. And beyond all of that, the show has performed quite poorly over the course of its first 3 episodes, and with the 4th, it's done something that I didn't expect it to do. It gained slightly, but still sitting at rock bottom with marginal increases that may actually be reflected later in, well, the iPlayer numbers and the 7+ days and the 4 screens and all that, which we'll talk about in just a moment. What also surprises me is that there's some things that just aren't being revealed, and that always bothers me when they slow step things, when they bring them to light in a very methodically slow way as to try not to draw attention to the fact that this show is perilously close to the bottom and doesn't seem to even be able to elevate itself to beat a struggling Eurovision and some other things that happened on the same exact night. And with all of that being said, let's jump into the story about, well, 73 Yards, which was the name of the episode for Season 1, Episode 4. And of course, this is dismal Disney Doctor Who at this point, but I should take a small break and just point down below at my website, which is actually how I am able to earn some money since I'm being, well, actively pushed down on some of the platforms that I put my content on. So check out beachpunk.us. I would truly appreciate that. Now, let's move on to what's actually happening here. So, basically, this is Millie Gibson's episode as Ruby, and boy, do they lean heavily into that. And look, there is something to be said for the companion adventures, and a lot of people seem to enjoy when they seem to dominate in individual plot lines, and this was no exception to that. But after Boom exploded and fell to the ground, shattered and destroyed in the worst performance by a Doctor Who episode ever, we get 73 Yards. And Millie Gibson as Ruby is there to unravel the mystery that stretches across her whole life and shows you that there's so much more to this companion than you ever possibly wanted to know. And it took a page out of previous episodes, just like what happened with Moffat's Boom, and I'm not really sure that that actually served the story. But that's not the story around what we're talking about, because while you're going to have hit and miss episodes throughout any series, this one seems to have been a little bit more resonant with some portion of the audience because you had more viewers. Well, there was also some revelations that lead to this idea that there could be a spin-off, and it might just focus on, well, the companions. But that being said, we can move on from speculation into the idea that since we're halfway through this season, we are that much closer to Season 2. Again, Disney, Doctor Who, dismalness is just in front of us as they are, well, I guess wrapping up on Season 2 or have just. And let me tell you, nobody's really excited about this. Maybe Gatwa and maybe Gibson, but I don't know about anyone else. So you're halfway there with the 4th episode, and you're about to see what's going to happen on Disney Plus and BBC iPlayer and everything else. The problem is we still don't have the Disney numbers, and we should. Or if we missed them because they weren't in the top 10, this really is a bigger problem than even I realized. But according to the Doctor Who guide with the 4th episode for 2024, we have the 3 hours and 7 minutes of total content with an average of 3.14 million viewers in overnight ratings, which is very poor. And again, it also seems to be reflecting some of the other ways to see this particular product. But for whatever reason, it is the lowest number we've ever seen for Doctor Who. Why? Well, because nobody really wanted it to be good. They're making it to be terrible, and there won't be much Doctor left after the 2nd season of Dismal Disney Doctor Who. But the 73 Yards overnight ratings, which again did not feature very much of the Doctor and focused primarily on Ruby, didn't land very well. But it was watched by 2.6 million, which, if you'll note, is a bit higher than we've been seeing from the majority of the episodes so far. It doesn't include the people who watched on BBC iPlayer or anything that happens on devices, since they delay those numbers for whatever reason and push the Doctor out 7 days so that people have an opportunity to maybe watch and compete. But it did land in the same position as the first episode, I believe. In fact, let's take a look at those numbers. And as you can see here, 2.6, 2.4, 2.04, losing 600,000 people at this point, which was originally going to be the thumbnail of this video rather than this one. But they gained back up to 2.6. Still nothing to, tell home about. And as you notice, these numbers don't get particularly better. In fact, as you see here, we still don't have episode 3's extended days service, which we should by now with the +4 screens. And we certainly aren't going to get episode 4's numbers for a whole week and probably another day or two. And this seems to be the pattern, and they seem to try to hide the fact that they're not doing very well, and they haven't for quite some time, absent essentially last season, which was essentially a fault at that point. But as you can see, Doctor Who will continue on Saturday, which is the first on BBC One, and we'll know for sure just what direction this is going. Could it be back on the rise? Probably not. But I can tell you, in talking with most of the people that have watched these episodes, they still think that the least watched episode last week's might have been one of the better ones. I'm not certain about that. I can just say that Boom only harkened back to previous episodes that were, well, vastly superior, including one of Moffat's very own. So, with all that said, I'm curious as to what you think, because Doctor Who is certainly not headed in the right direction and has probably hit rock bottom. Do you expect it to improve? Do you think that the numbers will radically push everything higher once we know the +7, +4 screen numbers? And if you're curious as to what those are, we can certainly review that and try to understand what it is that they're actually calculating. But since 2018, they've added in the +4 screens, which is a consolidated figure that wraps up all the tablets, phones, and PCs that might be out there watching it. So it includes all the devices you could be watching the show on, and it really is the cumulative number. If you wish to dispute any of that, you'd have to take it up with the BBC. As for now, here in the United States, we still don't know if anybody's watching this on Disney Plus, and at the time of recording this video, I haven't found anything at all, which means either they're hiding it, or they're not reporting it, or Nielsen and Samba just don't care, which isn't a good sign for Disney. Anyway, let me know what you think. Do you think Doctor Who is back on the rise? Do you think or expect that we'll see something significant out of this storied franchise anytime soon? Or do you believe that perhaps after season 2, we've reached the end of the road? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. Also, double check to make sure you're still subscribed. If that little red button says subscribe, click it, turn it to gray, and help me out as I continue to lose ground because of YouTube's savagery. And I'm not kidding when it comes to that. If you're watching me on another platform, be sure you're following me there as well, as I do put additional content in other places. If you're a member, there will be more Members First content coming in the very near future. And just realize at the end of the day, I appreciate each and every one of you. Anybody who watches a video more than once, you are extra special. And I will say this, today's password or word of the day, if you want to leave it in the comment section, is taco, because that seems completely inappropriate. On that note, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya.